In today's world, it's so easy to hop on our laptops or pull out our cell phones and to jump on some type of website to look up something, kind of window shop, if you will, to distract our minds from what's going on in the world. But what happens when this window shopping turns into actual shopping? And what happens if no matter how we're feeling, we're constantly pulling out that phone and purchasing and purchasing and purchasing? Hi, I'm Melinda and welcome back to A Therapized Life. In today's video, I want to discuss emotional spending. Now, if you're like me, you have at times struggled with emotional spending. I gotta admit, I've been a shopping addict before, and there have been plenty of times when I would say, oh, I'm just browsing, I'm just looking on here. But the next thing I know, whether I was sad, I was mad, or just even to distract myself, I found myself time and time again on a website looking at things, and the next thing I know, I've added 10 items to cart, and purchase after purchase is coming to my house. Now, a lot of times it's easy to just dismiss this as, oh, it's okay. As I used to always joke and say, shopping is my coping skill. But the problem with that is that with emotional spending, a lot of times there's a lot of things deeper happening below the surface that cause us to emotional spend. So in today's video, I want to talk through some of the things I realized about myself to help me get a hold of my own emotional spending. The first things being admitting I had a problem. Now, it's very hard to admit that something we're doing is wrong. And it's very hard to admit that we're struggling with something. And especially for me, shopping just came so naturally. I did it all the time. I could always find a reason to shop. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't blowing my budget. I wasn't messing up the family income, anything like that. But still, I was buying things that I didn't need to purchase. When I walk in my closet, there were tons of clothes there. Matter of fact, a lot of times I barely had room to put any more clothes that I purchased into my closet. But still, I seemed to never be satisfied with the clothes that I had. There was always a new thing that I want to get. There was always something shiny and new that I wanted. And for some reason, I was just never satisfied with the clothes that I had or the shoes or the things that I had. So I finally had to admit to myself that, hey, I have a problem with shopping. And once I was able to admit to myself that that problem existed, then I was able to move on and be able to address that problem. The next important step that I took was I began to assess my emotions in that moment. What I mean by that is during that time when I wanted to shop, when I found myself scrolling through my computer or looking on a website, stopping and asking myself, what emotions was I feeling at that time? Was I angry? Was I sad? Was I trying to distract myself from some reason? Had I had a recent fight with my husband? Did I have a bad day at work? Or on the flip side, did I have a great day at work and I felt like I needed to reward myself? By assessing my emotions in that moment, it better helped me realize a lot of things that motivated me to shop or reasons behind me feeling like I needed to shop. And sadly, I discovered that any emotion was a good enough reason to shop. So again, I found that I could justify to myself any emotion as a reason to shop. So instead of dealing with whatever emotion I was going through at the time, I just turned to shopping. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with shopping. But I do think there was something wrong when I found that I was using shopping to cover up and to run away from the problems that I was experiencing in day-to-day life. What I mean by that is that shopping became my escape. So if I just had a horrible fight, instead of dealing with the anger that I felt or addressing the thing that I was fighting about, I just went to shop. Or if I was sad about something, instead of figuring out what was really making me feel sad or what can I do to address this situation so I don't have these feelings of sadness again, I again returned to shopping. It took me a while to start to notice the pattern that I had with the shopping. But once I was able to identify and notice that, hey, every time I have an emotion, an extreme emotion, whether good or bad, I go to shopping, I started implementing a thing where I would assess my emotions in that moment. The next thing I started to do to help myself with emotional spending was to start to ask myself, why did I want the item that I was looking for online? So, for example, say I'm looking for a dress. Why do I want this particular dress? I have a whole closet full of dresses, so why do I need this particular dress? And these are the questions I started to ask myself. Why do I want this dress? Was it maybe that it served a purpose? Maybe I needed to go to a wedding. I didn't have a particular dress to go for this particular event. Was it to keep up with other people and their shopping habits, and I wanted to appear like I had the money they had, so if they're buying dresses, I want to buy dresses too. Maybe it was to fill some type of void I was feeling at that time, and buying that dress made me feel better about myself. Or maybe I liked the compliments I got when I wore a similar type of dress. By truly being honest with myself for the real reason behind the motivating factor for me to buy the dress, it further helped me to analyze myself, analyze my emotions, and again, get to those root triggers for reasons that made me get online to want to purchase the items in the first place. it caused me to face my demons, if you will, and deal with the things that I didn't like about myself. Maybe it was I had some low self-esteem in certain areas, or I felt insecure in other parts of these things, and that I was actually masking these with shopping. By stripping all that away, I was forced to deal with those insecurities and learn to work on myself instead of trying to cover it up with pretty dresses or other things that I could purchase online. After assessing why I wanted an item, I also started to keep track of when and why I had a desire to shop. And I did this to see if I could notice if there was a pattern to when I felt the urge to go online and to shop, or felt the urge to go to the store and buy whatever it is I wanted to purchase. And what I began to notice was the only pattern was I was having extreme emotion. Whether high or low, extreme emotions brought out shopping in me. It could be extreme boredom. It could be extreme sadness. It could be extreme happiness. Any extreme emotion, my go-to was just to shop. So what it made me realize was I need to stop trying to hide behind that, and I need to stop trying to ignore those extreme emotions, and I need to start dealing with those extreme emotions. Whether it was talking to my husband, calling a friend on the phone, I had to find other more positive ways to be able to work through what I was dealing with at the time. So I wasn't just depending on that dopamine hit of purchasing an item to make me feel better, but then a few moments to a few hours later having the emotion hit me back again, because I never dealt with what was really bothering me in the first place. Now, if I assessed everything and I actually had a valid reason for shopping, and I found that it wasn't coming from just a place of pure emotion, still, to keep myself from just impulsively spending and shopping, I implemented giving myself some space. What I meant by that is, instead of, getting on there and buying it immediately, I would either add to cart and step away from the cart, or I would make a list where I'd write down things like a wish list for things that I'd want to get in the future, and give myself at least 24 to 48 hours to consider the purchase. I found that by stepping away, taking some space to back away from the items, a lot of times I'd forget about the item anyway and realize that I didn't really want it. By giving myself space and by implementing a waiting period, I was better able to evaluate the purchase and to separate the emotion. That way I wasn't just impulsively buying things. Now, if I still decided that I wanted to purchase something, the next thing that I started to do was to make sure that the purchase fit into my budget. It's so easy to spend money and not consider the budget and not think about the money you're spending. And I'm not going to lie, there were times that I probably messed up other future plans that I had with my finances, things I could have done, because I was thinking short term to an outfit I wanted to buy, or somewhere I wanted to go, or eating out, or something of that nature. But by realizing and thinking big picture of the goals that I had, in addition to the goals that my husband and my family had, I became a lot more strict with my budget. And so that entailed, whenever I had a purchase I wanted to make, making sure that I had the money available right there in the bank to be able to pay off the purchase immediately. So either I would spend cash for a purchase, or if I swiped my card, I would immediately go online and pay it off with my debit to make sure that I had the money to cover whatever purchase was made. By implementing this type of budgeting, it prevented me from just going on there and emotionally and irrationally buying things, and it made me take pause, and think about what I was doing. Well, these lessons have been valuable to me, and I think it's been great for helping me kind of get control of my emotional spending. Now, am I going to stop shopping? No, I'm never going to stop shopping. But one thing I have learned to do is stop letting my emotions drive that shopping and be out of control with what I'm doing, because I'm not willing to deal with the bigger picture of what's going on underneath the surface. All right, I hope today's video has helped you guys realize some things you can do to kind of better get control of yourself if you find that you're emotionally spending in an area. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and make sure to comment down below something you've learned, or things you struggle with at times, whether it's emotional spending, whether it's emotional overeating, or other things of that nature. And also, again, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.